So today we have so much to cover, we'll probably have to have a few videos to get through it all. But we start out with Samuel being sent by the Lord from Gibeah to anoint David king in Bethlehem. So Gibeah is right here, and he leaves there and comes through Jerusalem to Bethlehem, which is right here. So he goes there and he anoints David, and we know that story. The next story then will be, of course, how David kills Goliath. So let's look at some of the geography here to help us understand it. Okay, remember that the tension is between this area that's the coastal plain and the highlands that are right up here. So, hang on. Alright, I just recentered the map. So, the issue is, here are the highlands, here's the coastal plain, here's that Shphelah that we've talked about before. And you can see there are little valleys that come up, and these are the key routes how to get up into the mountains. And so the fights will usually be centered around the valleys. You see, this is where the Samson story was focused, and also the ark being returned there by Beit Shemesh here in the Sorek Valley. The next valley south is the Elah Valley. All right. So what happens is that the Philistines are going to come from Gath. I've got a few pictures of Gath, maybe just one, I can't remember. That's not it. Okay, there it is. Gath was a huge city set up on a hill, but also all around it. You can get an idea. All of this is the area of Gath. So the Philistines will gather from all sorts of cities, but they'll focus there on Gath, and they'll work their way here up the Elah Valley, coming up this way, all right? Right up here is Bethlehem. So, and up here is Gibeah, right here. So, Saul will come with his men down into the Elah Valley to cut them off. Of course, there's a map for that, right? So, here's to give you an idea. As they come down the Elah Valley and the Philistines are coming up, and the Israelites cut them off right here in the middle of the Elah Valley, right before you get into the hills to get up into Bethlehem. So right here in this area, they meet. The Israelites are camped right here. In fact, we think we found where their camp was. Some remains that then get built up right here. And the Philistines are probably right over here. All right, and up here is the high hills of Bethlehem. And you go out this way to get to Gath and Ekron and those areas. So this is where the standoff will happen, with these two armies camped right across the valley from each other, and Goliath coming down in this area and issuing the challenge all the time. Alright, so the last picture was looking down in the valley from the point of view. It was taken from right here, but right here is where the Philistines would have been. So the point of view from the Philistine camp, this is the area where the Israelites were, and where they built up a fortification where their camp was made right after that, most likely. So what we think happens is that David goes down the hill right here into the Elah Valley and has the battle right here, and right here is where the Philistine army is. The Philistines then see that they're going to lose, and they run, trying to run south down into the plains. You can see how you're getting into the lower lands here. So they run through this valley this way. The problem they have is that the Israelites are on this hill right here, so some of them can run this way, and some of them can run this way. And so what you have is where David defeats Goliath right here, the Israelites come this way, and the Philistines, as they try to leave, are caught in between in a pincher movement. And so many of them are killed right there. And those that do escape, then they chase them all the way out here to Gath and Ekron. But the biggest share of the battle happens right there as they are caught. Here, we'll show you again from here. This is from their point of view. The Israelites come here and out down here, so that as the Philistines run this way, they get caught between them. That's the defeat of Goliath and the Philistines. When we continue on with our story, of course, David is then back with Saul and his palace, and you remember the palace, we showed you this picture, and we had the stones that we'd seen and so on. And so this hill is the setting of so much of these stories, where remember that David marries Michal, and Saul is getting upset at him, and Michal helps him, and then Jonathan helps him, and you remember the story of Jonathan helping David. So this is looking from that palace towards Jerusalem and Bethlehem. So this is where they're shooting the arrows and so on. All of that happens right here in this area. Okay, just to show you where it is on the map, here's Jerusalem, here's Gibeah. That's where it's all happening as David flees from Jerusalem down to Bethlehem. He's coming out and away. It's only about 10 miles. It's not far. Now we know that as David flees, he comes from here and stops in Nob. This is where he will eat of the shewbread and use the Urim and Thummim. We'll talk about that. Or the ephod is how it is in the reading, and then fly down here, and Saul will later kill all of the priests there that helped him. Now as we kind of expand the map out, you'll see he eventually goes down to Gath. A very strange choice since he's just defeated their hero, but anyway, he goes there, they want to kill him, he gets away by feigning madness, and now he's just going to have to try and get along on his own. So he's going to flee down here. Now remember, David grows up as a shepherd, and so he's semi-nomadic, taking the sheep all up and down here wherever is good grazing. And so that's what he's going to do, is try and get by in these areas that he knows so well. So of course he starts killing, or fighting different places. He basically becomes a mercenary, and he gathers this large group, and he's going around fighting Philistines and different things. Eventually, in trying to escape Saul, he goes down from Jerusalem down towards the Red Sea to what's known as Ein Gedi. Right here, here's Ein Gedi, which is also the Rocks of the Wild Goats. It's a little wadi here that he goes up into to hide. Just thought I'd show you a few pictures of Ein Gedi. There's still lots of wild goats or ibex there, and it's riddled with caves. It's this wadi that goes way up in there, riddled with caves, and these are the places where David finds Saul, or David is actually in the cave when Saul comes. And it's also got a number of springs. Ein means spring. It's the spring of Gedi. It's got some springs there. That's why he's up in there. Whoops. To make it so that he can get by. And there are all sorts of little creatures there they can catch and eat. And you can see it actually gets to be quite a beautiful place. And this is why he's there when he flees from Saul. And again, it's in these caves where he'll have the opportunity to kill Saul, but does not take it. The story then moves north. It moves south to where he's still fleeing in this Judean. He's staying in the countryside of Judea, the tribe of Judah that he's from. And it's there that he comes across this man named Nabal, who does not want to help him. In any case, Nabal is saved by his wife Abigail, who will become one of David's wife, as Nabal, who's a fool, and that's really what his name means. I don't think it's his real name, but anyway, Abigail comes to his rescue and becomes one of David's wife. Now, there's some confusion as to exactly where this story takes place, because Carmel and Jezreel are typically thought of as being north, but there may be some places with similar names down south, which is where David seems to be at this time. And some of the other areas mentioned around this story are south. So we're not exactly sure where this is. In any case, David is spending his time running around trying to avoid Saul.